I invite us to consider, like, where is this center, right? Where's the center? Whether that's on a somatic, a physical level, or whether that's a psychological level, or whether that's a spiritual level, or whether that's public discourse. Where is the center? Who holds the center? And is center an individual notion, as in my center? Or is it more of a collective or a shared kind of principle? And I may think that I hold certain values or virtues at the center, such as love. Like, doesn't that sound great? Yeah. Oh, yes, love is at the center of my thing. But if I take a closer look, I might find that something more like the phone actually is at the center of my attention and my devotion and my, obulation, your attention, attention. So there's things that we may not, unknowingly have usurped or taken the mantle of the center of our own experience, right? And those may or may not resonate with our deeper values. But one thing is certain, center, this principle of center, or what I think it's the Greeks called axis mundi, right? Is occurs within nature repeatedly on macro scale and micro scale. So on one scale, you have something like the very center of the Milky Way, which is just a very captivating, it's a striking, not just image, but reality, right? Like, who cannot feel a sense of awe just looking at something like this, whirling arms of the Milky Way, and say, whoa, right. I thought I was the center, this whole time. So that's big scale, and there's even bigger versions of that, or we could trace all that back to the pinpoint of the Big Bang and say, oh, well, there was a mega center at one point. But within a tree, you have something like the trunk of the tree. Oh, it's the central axis of the tree, but then we find within the leaf structure, a little spindly spine of centeredness as well. So it's if we were to open up that tree through some magical nonviolent means and look at the concentric rings, we'd see a kind of centering or story of one trying to maintain center, or one living into center or out of center. And we go into the tiniest ring at the very middle, and we go, well, what's the center of that point? Maybe I'm just looking at, an attempt to center sunbeams and drink from the earth, and and that's the tree is a centering exercise of those principles, right? So, where does our center begin and another center leave off? What to speak of our relationship to water, something like water. Where's the center of the water principle? So center is, a bounds. And there's lots of places that we can go sort of cultivating or realizing or connecting to something of central nourishment, maybe something like a fetus. Right? And in fact, that's where we'll go today, is the navel space in our practice as just sort of a somatic inroad into this idea, not even idea, but living principle of center or centeredness as we begin our inquiry.